Hi there, I'm Jen Kelly, the CEO and one of the fractional chief marketing officers at New Initiatives Marketing.
And hi, I'm Nicole Crozier, and I am a fractional CMO with New Initiatives Marketing. And today we have another question for our Ask a Fractional CMO newsletter. And the question today is, we have a revenue problem. How does fixing our buyer's journey help? And the context is this. We often get clients come to us initially with having a revenue generation problem. And what they first jump to as a quick fix is we need to get in more leads. But when we go into conversations with them around questions around their strategy and around their buyer's journey, one of the first things that we often find actually helps with revenue generation more so than, putting in a lead process is actually looking at what's actually happening in their buyer's journey and the marketing system that supports that. And are there any leaks or are there even any processes or steps that are kind of detracting from revenue coming in the door?
When we talk about buyer's journey, it is that process from the potential customer becoming aware of your company, aware of your products or services, and going through all the phases until they become a client.
Right.
And then what we do is we say that journey does not stop when you become a client. You want a repeat client and you want a client that is happy enough with what's going on in order to refer you. So we'll talk about that part later. But I just wanted to define the buyer's journey for those that weren't familiar with that term.
And to add on to that, so a lot of the clients that we work with are B2B clients. And so the buyer's journey can be quite complex and it can involve a bunch of different buyers. So buyers committees, and each member of the buyer's committee could have different things that they need at each step along the way. And so when most marketers and probably CEOs of B2B organizations think of the customer journey or the buyer's journey, they're kind of thinking of it in terms of what's in it for them. Like, okay, how do I move the client along and kind of get them to buy as quickly as possible? So we're finding that that type of thinking can disrupt things. And we like to flip it around because really the buyer's journey is about understanding your clients, understanding their needs, and understanding their preferences for moving through your process. So it's not about putting your own process and preferences in place. It's about understanding how the customer prefers to buy, prefers to consume your information, and then putting those steps in place so that they can do most of the journey on their own and so that you don't actually disrupt them. Because that is one thing that we're finding is happening with a lot of our clients when they first come in to work with us, is they actually have some steps in place that are detracting from them getting that revenue in the door. They're sending clients away before they become clients.
Absolutely. And the friction that can occur, it can be enough to make a lead turn around and go the other way. And we've all experienced that, whether we get sign up for something and we get 10 emails, within the next 24 hours, and that may be too much. Sometimes if you as a CEO or on the leadership team call in as a customer, you can really get to see what it's like to go through some of the processes that your clients go through. So let's dig into this. Let's dig in.
Yeah, let's dig in. And why don't we start with looking at what a typical buyer's journey looks like from the perspective of a B2B organization that may not be working that well today and why they think it should work well.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So one thing that we're seeing is there's a huge focus on getting an initial marketing qualified lead. So for the buyer's journey from the organization's perspective, they want to put out that free content with a lead gate. So you enter that email address and that qualifies you as a marketing qualified lead. Now, the idea is that they have to go through some more steps and processes to become a sales qualified lead, but we see that getting interrupted right at the beginning. And the way that can be interrupted is that a sales rep calls immediately after someone has submitted a form. And not only that, but they continue to call and continue to call. And the challenge is that if you just entered an email address to download one thing, you're probably just at that initial information gathering stage and you're not ready to talk to a sales rep. And that can be really disruptive and really annoying, and it can cause that person to stop their journey.
With so many processes being broken, this is how, unfortunately, you can start to get terrible data into your system. So, you require a phone number and people are going 212-555, 1212 or whatever the 8675309, right? Putting in the fake numbers, because that's right. Little reference there. People are putting in the fake information because they just want the barriers up. Like, just give me some time to digest your white paper. Give me some time to really understand like what your company offers, to really research and educate myself before you're calling. What we've found as well is it's very interesting because the way that your potential customer may be contacting you for information typically would be their preferred way. And oftentimes what we see is a sales team using another method to get in touch with them. And what I mean by that, one of the examples would be information coming through from the potential client on chat or on email, and then the sales rep calling on the phone to either answer or to have the initial conversation with that potential client. And all indications have been given the way that the person wanted to obtain the information. So we would say that it's one instance where the process could be very broken, and the salesperson is getting voicemail or not being able to connect because of the way they are connecting is not in reference to the way that the potential client first contacted you. So to be very, very aware of that.
Yeah, exactly. And so you've said two things here. So the first thing is that people are entering some fake information and are also, like, phone numbers, for example, but they're also setting up email accounts that they use only for downloading stuff so that they can avoid the spam in their normal email system. And then what we see happening at some of the client sites that we work with is then they try to prevent those email accounts from actually even signing up in the first place by forcing it only to be a company account. So not allowing things like Yahoo or Hotmail or Gmail to even enter into that process. And so I just want to address that really quickly because that could be a disruption. Your ideal client could be using evasive maneuvers to download information simply to avoid having your sales rep call them right away, because that's what's happening in the industry right now. You think that that Gmail address or whatever it is not a legitimate customer, but it very well could be. And so if you eliminate that, you could also be eliminating some very valid prospects from your process. And so that's something to really, really think about and consider. And the thing also is if you don't allow them to enter in their Gmail address that they prefer, then they can't get that content that they wanted. They're going to go to a competitor site and get it somewhere else. So if that's the case, you might consider not even gating the content at all, or allowing everybody to sign up for it and not calling them and disrupting the journey, and giving them a way to continue the journey on your site. So that's one way it can be disrupted. The second thing you talked about is how the customer has a preferred way they want to communicate. So if they reach out to you via email or ask a question in chat, that indicates that they want to continue the conversation in that way. So if they send you an email, ask you a question, and then immediately, you force them to put a phone number in and you immediately call them back, they may not answer. They may not continue that conversation, and you've also disrupted the process there. Or you've annoyed them and they've decided that they don't want to work with you or deal with you further, and they'll go on to the next person. So that's a second way to really interrupt that process. So you can get these great indicators from your customers of how they want to proceed. And so it's important to listen to those indicators. If they If they contact you by email, continue the conversation that way. If it's by text, continue the conversation that way. And if they call you, then you can continue the conversation that way.
Found too when we have diagnosed a situation like this happening, it always is with the best intent though.
Yeah.
So on the sales side, what they're really going for is being really responsive, trying to get the information back to the potential customer as fast as possible, showing that they're on it, showing that, if you become a client, like you really matter to us. So most times what we've seen is the intent is positive. The intent, is really there to serve and to be of service. It's just that sometimes the optics, how it comes across can be very, very, very differently perceived by the potential client.
Right. Yeah. So getting back to the original question, which is, we need to bring in more revenue. How can looking at our buyer's journey really help in fixing that? That's kind of what one of the first things is that we do when we work with a client is we take an initial look at their buyer's journey. Actually, that's one of the first things, but the first thing we do is we actually talk to the clients to get the information from them as to what their preferred buyer's journey is. And once we've talked to a few clients and we have a clear idea of how they prefer to consume information and the information that they do need, then we do an audit of the client's actual system that they have in place to see if it matches up. Are there any gaps? Is there anything missing? Is there anything disrupting that journey?
One of the things that we look at is the call to action to have a demo. Frequently what we'll see is somewhere on the landing page, on every piece of content that is, say being emailed or sent out to the client, every bit of content that the client can consume as they're educating themselves is always book a demo, book a demo, book a demo, book a demo. What if they're not ready to book a demo? What if what you're selling is very complicated and then they're not sure what questions to ask. They're not sure if this demo is going to be a hard sell. They're not sure, who do I bring to the demo? Can I come to the demo first? Do I need my whole team? Do I need the tech team with me? It's just such a leap. One of the things that we do suggest, and we've seen clients have success with it, is before the ask for the demo, and quite literally on the site above the form, sign up for a demo, would be a video which takes the person through what the demo is going to be like. So maybe a light version of it. Typically, if we can get the person that does the demo to do this light demo, that's great because they can get to know who's going to be on the demo from the company leading the demo meeting. But the type of information that they can convey there is like, here's how long it's going to be. Here's what we're going to ask you. We're going to, go through these things. Here's the people that you need in the room. Or this demo is usually like a general information. And, as we get to know you, we can have meetings afterwards and really make sure that we have the right offer for you. But just to give your potential clients an idea of what's happening at the demo, how serious it is,
right,
expected to do, can take a lot of the fear or the hesitation away from signing up for that demo.
Right. Anything that you can do to give your clients a way to move themselves through your process is ideal. And the pre-demo demo, I think, is a fantastic solution. They can take themselves through the demo to a certain extent of whatever it is that you're offering. And you can do this demo no matter what it is. It doesn't have to be your typical like B2B software. This could be your manufacturing process. It could be walking through, on our side, it could be walking people through what it looks like to work with us, what a marketing strategy is, give them a demo of how that works. So you just give them a way that they consume it, and do it on their own, because that is kind of the preferred process for a lot of people these days. And then it gives them a little bit of a confirmation of what to expect when they do go on the sales demo. And that's the next thing that you can do is if you want to then convert someone to a one-on-one sales demo with a rep, give them a chance to request that themselves. Let them know what to expect on the demo, what you'll be doing, what you'll be asking them, what the time commitment will be. So they know what they're getting into and they know what to expect, and it will help you convert them at that stage.
Absolutely. I mean, it's almost like having an agenda for a regular
Mhm.
business meeting, which is something that, we're
Right.
all used to. So why
Mhm.
not do the same here? I mean, if it's going to be an important meeting in order to secure a new client, let's do
Right.
everything we can to make them feel good and know what to expect for sure.
Mhm. Yes. And the buyer's journey is interesting because there are so many little nuances that make a really, really big difference. When you get into the nitty gritty of every little step and you think it through from the client's perspective, like what happens when they know you exist, so they land on your website. What do they need to see or do or know next to move to that next stage? Do you have that in place? Is it easy for them to get? Is there anything blocking them? Are you doing anything that could detract from the process? And then what's the ideal next step? Are you making that easy? Can they find it? Are you sending it to them? Are they able to get it in a really easy way? And go through each of those steps and make sure you have the educational information, the language, the messaging, and the preferred method of communication for each one. And what we find is when we do that, we can find some pretty big gaps and some pretty big leaks in buyers' journeys. And when we fix those up, it can make a real immediate impact on the amount of leads that are being converted. And so that's what ends up happening. It's not often a problem of we need to get more leads in the door. Often it's a problem of what's happening to the leads once they get to your website.
And it's a very interesting process to go through, obviously on our side, but also too on the client side, because it feels like it feels like a very I don't want to say easy thing to fix, but it just makes them feel so good about, okay, if we tighten this up, get
Right.
this going, there's nothing to say you can't now ask for
Mhm.
leads, but you want to make sure that your process is ready
Right.
for more leads to come in. So we're not saying we'll never do
Mhm. Right.
a any kind of lead project for you, but let's make sure that the foundation of it and the whole process is
Mhm.
working as best as possible before we're driving, more opportunities your way.